All right, so welcome back, y'all. So today we've got a pretty cool video. We're finally gonna paint this big boat. I've been waiting. Well, I don't really know why I've been waiting. Honestly, the reason I've been waiting is I just really haven't wanted to give up a whole weekend to paint this thing. So it's real windy this weekend. I got all my work done this week, so it's time to do it here before we get into fall. So anyway, I just spent the last roughly hour and a half cleaning out this boat from the whole summer's worth of fishing. And this boat is just nasty. I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but it is just nasty from catfishing all summer. It's got a funk to it, right? So anyway, we need to correct that before I get to painting this. I may end up doing something in the side of it. Not only that, I just want to have a nice clean boat, you know, going into the fall season. So just cleaned it out. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna sweep it out. I'm gonna take a pressure washer and a light soapy, like a Dawn mix. I've done this several times with this boat. Many of you guys ask about the bed liner. It's the best way to do it. It'll clean this thing up just perfect. So then we're gonna move to the outside and we're gonna finally paint this boat. So it's been a long time coming. I actually just looked at that rear depth finder right there. It's got an hour meter on it. So since last March, April, it was somewhere right then whenever I started really running it, I just looked at that depth finder. That depth finder has been on for 852 hours. So yeah, it's a lot of time. A lot of time fishing out of this boat. All right, so we're gonna give her a good cleaning here and then we're gonna move to the outside and hopefully we're gonna really transform this thing here this weekend. All right, so there she is, guys. Boy, it's one of them deals, you don't realize how dirty something is until you clean it. That boat was dirty, but she's all cleaned out now, all pressure washed out. So anyway, now we gotta work on the outside, right? Oh, by the way, I always get a lot of questions about what's a boat like this. So this boat's 25 foot, obviously. It weighs about 5,000 pounds. You know, with the motor and everything, and I always get questions on what's the thing draw. So here you can actually see, yeah, exactly, there's the water line. So that's 10 inches to the very bottom of the keel, you know, with it being a V bottom. So this boat, you know, it only draws, you know, 10 inches right there at the keel. I can run this boat with that 6-inch jack plate. I can run it in just over a foot of water if I get going. So yeah, I always get a lot of questions about that. Just because it's a big heavy boat doesn't mean it has to draw a lot of water. There's just, you know, it's displacement. There's so much displacement here. All right, so, you know, painting aluminum is one of those things where you can ask 20 different people and you get 25 different answers, right? Now, I'm not new to this. I've had a little bit of experience doing this, this painting aluminum, so I'll just kind of share with you what my process is. Whether it's right or not, it's worked for me quite well in the past, right? So first things first, aluminum's hard to paint because aluminum's not porous, you know, not like steel is, and it just doesn't want to absorb primer, and that's what makes paint hard to stick to it. Now you can see this aluminum here, it's shiny and it's slick, and then you can see right here where the water line is, you know, it's built up that water line, but it's still got that sheen to it. And so what my preferred method is you can acid etch these things. You can do all sorts of stuff, but here's what I do. So basically, whenever I built this boat, I used like 50 some of these flap discs, right? And so what I do is after I kind of use them up, I just save them. They're still good, they just don't have as much cutting power, right? So in my personal experience, the best way to paint aluminum is to actually rough it up. I mean, get it where it's rough to the touch, right? That gives that primer something to adhere to. Now sometimes you can do it with a wire wheel, but sometimes not. Sometimes that wire wheel almost polishes the aluminum and makes it slick. But with these flap discs, you almost, you know, it's like grinding wood with coarse sandpaper, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and I am going to sand out this entire boat. There's roughly 200 foot of area, 200 square feet of area here. Now I'm gonna run over it with flap disc all the way, rough it up, and then I'm gonna come over with paint thinner or, you know, acetone or xylene or something, and I'm gonna wipe it all down and then I'm gonna prime it. And I'm gonna do that all in a pretty quick order because, you know, aluminum's constantly oxidizing. So
you know, the quicker you can get primer on it and get that primer to adhere, the better you are. So it's worked for me in the past. You know, I've done several boats like that, painted quite a little bit of aluminum, so that's what we're gonna do. So I've got this whole boat side here, one side or the other. I'm not gonna worry about the trailer right now. We're gonna deal with the trailer at another time. I'm just worried about getting the primer on, because honestly I've only got, you know, a day and a half to do this, so gotta work quick. But yeah, we're gonna run through, grind it all off. I'm gonna try to make this as easy as I can. So my loading guides there, I'm just gonna cut those off, get them out of the way, and then I won't have to work around them. I'll just weld them on back later. But yeah, that's the next step, and then I'll share with you kind of what I do as far as paint and prep. But let's spend a couple hours grinding on this thing. So welcome back to a new day here doing this boat. So anyway, yesterday evening I finished up with the grinding. Now like I said, you know, some may say this is overkill going through this whole boat, because honestly it did. It took me about 3.5 hours to grind all this. But you know, you can have the best paint in the world, but if you can't get it to stick, then it's worthless, right? So that's why I go to all this trouble. So I've ran a flat disc down this whole boat all the way around, down the bottom, about 4 inches past where the water line is. So we got, you know, everywhere we're gonna paint. And I mean, this thing, it's rough. I mean, it's actually rough to the touch. You know, I've scratched it up that much. And then I took a heavy twisted wire wheel and just did the tight areas, you know. And like I said, you can use that on a lot of parts, but you gotta watch it because it'll almost polish the aluminum. So anyway, got this sucker looking good and shiny. It's all cleaned up right now. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the whole boat and I'm gonna wipe it down with acetone paint thinner, get a good cleaning on it everywhere, and then I'm gonna start masking it off. And we're gonna wipe this boat down like 3 or 4 more times too. And we're just gonna keep wiping it down basically until our rag is not discolored, right? Don't use paper towels, you know, because it'll actually grab the roughness, but use like a t-shirt material or an old t-shirt, and you know, get it to where your rag's not dirty. And then that's good, clean, prepared aluminum surface, and then we can go on to shooting our primer on. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna give it a good wipe down here, and then I'm gonna start masking, because I got a lot of masking I gotta do to get this boat ready for paint. All right, so I got everything masked off as good as I'm gonna do here. So now we're about ready to start priming. Now, like I said, you can ask 20 different people, get 25 different answers on how to properly do aluminum. Now, I've had great success using self-etching primer. Obviously, I've roughed up the surface multiple times. I've wiped it down 4 different times, the whole boat, and I'm gonna shoot primer on it. Now, you know, you could say you could just shoot a regular primer, but I like the self-etching primers. This is a Van Sickle self-etching primer. I've used the Rattle Can Rust-Oleum self-etching primer on smaller projects. It works good. It's just, this is 200 plus square feet, so gallon jug, you know, is a lot more efficient and economical. So anyway, and it says super premium on it, so you know it's good. Anyway, so I'm gonna shoot it out of a spray gun here and try to get 2 coats on it. Coat and a half, heavy first coat. We'll see how far this gallon gets me. I'm just gonna spray a gallon on it and see, and then we'll be ready to start our actual paint. But like I said, it's just, you can ask different people, but I do like the self-etching primer. So, you know, I've roughed up the surface, I've cleaned it, but those little imperfection areas, the self-etching primer, it's ideally supposed to, you know, etch into the aluminum and adhere. So anyway, the compressor is going to run about non-stop because it's not quite big enough. So I'll throw up a time lapse and we'll shoot this boat. Should go pretty quick with this air gun once I get it all adjusted, and then we'll get to moving on here. All right, so you ever just have one of them days? I swear, the one day I decided to paint this boat, like every spider web in the world cuts loose, right? And I forgot to hit the time lapse button whenever I did the primer. So anyway, it's gray now. Battleship gray, it's primered. I got 2 heavy coats of primer on the thing, and then all the spider webs came loose. So obviously, if this doesn't need to be said, I'll say it. I'm not a professional. You know, I'm doing this out here in my front yard underneath the acorn tree. So, I mean, I'm not shooting for masterpiece here. I'm shooting for one solid color, right? But anyway, wind's blowing my plastic around. It's like the windiest day of the year, and the spider webs are blowing around. So anyway, my plastic blew into my wet primer like 3 times. I just spent the last hour and a half, probably almost 2 hours, sanding out. I went through it with a 320 and tried to sand out some of the spider webs. So it's not perfect, but it does look good from a distance. So anyway, now we're gonna try to at least get one shot of color on it tonight. I don't know how much time I'll have, if it sets up or not, but anyway, we're gonna go with it's called the International Blue, made by the same company. It's a darker blue. It's a little darker than the inside, but it matches pretty close. Honestly, I was trying to get paint from the same company that I got the bed liner coating from. That's a Monster Liner product, but then they have magnet paints, and honestly, I contacted them 4 or 5 times. Their customer service is horrible. Couldn't even get anybody to talk to me, so I just kind of got pissed off and went with this product. So, quit wasting time. I am going to hit the time lapse button this time. We're going to shoot a color of blue on her. So welcome back to another episode of I Don't Know What I'm Doing. Alright, so anyway, it's the next day. I've got 2 good coats of the blue enamel paint on this boat right now. And it looks really good, actually, in my opinion. It's not perfect, mind you. I did it outside, and you know, there was spider webs, and you know, but I'm not going for show quality. I'm going for one coated boat that I'm happy with. So anyway, looks pretty good, right? Now, I may talk slow, but I'm not stupid, right? I know I'm gonna scratch this boat. You know, I've been through the whole deal where, you know, I've had a new boat and I've done the whole throw out bumper buoys and not beach it and all that other stuff. And that's fine. If you wanna be that person, that's fine. I was that person for a while. This boat is not made for that. Whenever I built this boat, I knew that. I knew this boat was gonna be beached on riprap. I knew it was gonna be run up into the buckbrush. I knew it was gonna be taken through the bushes. You know, this is a fishing boat, right? I'm not going to abuse it per se, but at the same time, I'm not going to baby it. So if I want to run up and let it set up against boat dock while I go get the truck without throwing out bumper buoys, so be it. All right, now that being said, right, it's all one color. It looks real nice right now. If you put one scratch in that boat right now, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. And that's going to happen, right? And I know it's going to happen. So what do I need to do? So I've got 2 good coats, basically, on this boat right now of good enamel hardened paint. So the base is good. Now, what I need to do, and I'm sure there's a proper term and you guys in the comments will correct me, but what I want to do now is I want to make this paint job look busy. And what I mean by that is I don't want it one solid color. I want to break it up. I want to make it camo without it being camo, right? Because camo boats, they got a lot going on. So even if you scratch them, you know, it's hard to tell, right? So I've always been a big fan of like the cryptic camo or the digital camo. So I got a hold of this guy down in, I don't even know where he was. I'll leave a link in the description below. Red Legs Camo is who I contacted. And he makes these stencils, these really cool stencils. He actually makes them for like a lot of like, I think Havoc, maybe a Lumicraft, I don't know. He does a good job. I talked to him personally on the phone. Anyway, real nice guy, good customer service. So I got a couple of his stencils here. I got the big ones where I could cut them up, you know, kind of modify them to my taste. So I've been playing around off camera and kind of figuring out, and I got this cool looking scale pattern, right? What that's going to do is that's going to let me get this boat looking busy. It's going to break it up so that way when, not if, but when I do scratch it, it won't be so noticeable. Alright, so color choices. We got the cool looking blue right now. I'm very happy with that blue. It turned out real nice. Alright, so I'm going to go 2 different colors to really break it up. I've been playing around off camera, stencil wise. So anyway, I've got this is a gloss Ford dark gray. I don't know, it's more of it's like a charcoal. I've always liked blue and silver and charcoal. So I got that. This is like a charcoal. And then, you know, just because this is a really big aluminum boat and I kind of wanted to keep that theme going, I got some aluminum enamel. And yeah, should be pretty cool. I'm gonna spray the charcoal on it first, and then, you know, with my stencil, that top coat really pops. And I'm thinking this aluminum, which is silver essentially, is gonna just really pop off this this deep blue. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna spray some paint on this thing and bring you guys along. All right, so first coat on with the stencil. It honestly looks real good. I don't know if, let me see if I can, the camera doesn't really show it. Let me see if I can bring you guys up. There, y'all can see it a little better there. That's the stencil, that's the first coat, right? So it turned out really pretty good. Now, full disclosure, I've never used this stencil before. The only stencil, I mean, I've stenciled a few boats, but it's always been with like the leaf stencils on top of camo colors, you know. So you've got colors that accent, you know, so like grays and browns on top of grays and browns. So I'm learning as I go. I like with this whole boat. Compressor's going. I've got the aluminum ready to go here. It's silver now. It's gonna look cool if I can do it right. I don't like it. The aluminum, it was a failure. It looked good on everything that I've done, you know, outside the boat. I did some, you know, test pieces on cardboard and different things like that. But whenever I got it on the boat, it just did not look good. So I don't know. I wasn't happy with it, so I was able to, I just shot that little area. Luckily I was able just to wipe everything down, re-stenciled the little area, you know, that I had, you know, wiped down. So I didn't lose anything by it, other than I'm not going to get done today. And the aluminum paint is out. I was really hoping for that silver aluminum. I thought it'd look real cool. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. All the stores are closed but now, so I'm gonna have to go to the store tomorrow and see what else they got. I don't know. I said I'd never paint a boat white, but honestly now kind of looking at it, see, I want something that'll really pop and contrast. You know, that brown or gray, I keep calling it brown, that gray, it contrasts with the blue, but it doesn't like pow. And I didn't want the gray to do that. I wanted the gray to be, you know, the first layer, and then I wanted whatever I come over top of it to just super contrast. So I don't know. I'm gonna play around this evening. It may be black or white. I don't know. We will see. I don't know. White maybe. White would really pop. I just don't know if I'd want white. So I went with white paint. So the reason I've always said I don't want to own a white boat is simply because I fish in some muddy water. I mean, 2 months out of the year I fish in a river that is named the Muddy Mississippi, right? Our lakes around here just don't get that clean. And white, obviously, white has about 17 colors of dirty, but it does show a mud line. So that's always been my gripe with white. But that being said, I spent all last night trying different colors. And white does show the best contrast against what I've got here. So anyway, it's crazy windy again, but whatever. We're gonna go ahead and shoot this sucker with white stencil, and hopefully it'll make a real bold contrast, and then I'll be done with this sucker. So we got a little bit more work to do on the trailer, obviously, but then at least the boat will be painted. So this project that I was hoping to get done in 2 days, we're now on day 5. So yeah, I'm over it. I don't think I like it. I don't think I like it at all. There's too much overspray with these stencils. Alright, so the white, the white did not do it. Maybe it's user error, I don't know, but basically with these stencils, it just seems like that there's a lot of overspray And like I said, maybe it's user error on my part, but you know, I think these are designed for a camo pattern. And if I was doing a camo pattern, I don't think I'd have any problems at all, because you know, you'd be going against complementing colors. But I'm contrasting colors so bad with, you know, going from blue to gray to white, that you can see all this overspray, and I don't know if there's any way to get around it. So like I said, sorry I kind of led you guys along. You know, I was hoping for the silver didn't work, obviously. Went with the white didn't work, so we're sticking with this, the original. And I'm glad I went with the gray first, because if I would have went with the silver or the white, I think the overspray would have been so much. But no, I'm happy with it. It looks good. The outside matches the inside. Very happy with it. Let me see if I can. The camera does not do it justice. It does look very good. It looks good depending on what angle. You know, it kind of gets a little better depending on what angle you look at it. So, you know, there's a little better look at it. It's got a lot going on. It's busy, which is what I wanted. You know, it'll take a scratch well. So, and honestly, I know right where my mud line is, right here. And there's a lot of brown. I kind of did that intentionally, to be honest. I put where the solid bars are down the end. That's going to show the mud line. So the mud line should be pretty well hidden. But anyway, y'all, super excited about it. This has been what? I built this boat in 2018, fished out of it in 2019, did the lining into 2019. It's now 2020, almost the end of it. So yeah, it's been a while since this got painted. But yeah, very happy with how it turned out. You know, it took the homemade out of it, you know, which is kind of what I wanted. You know, it still looks like a shop done paint job. I mean, it definitely doesn't look professional, but you know, whatever. I'm happy with it. It's all one color. I can forget about it. Obviously, I've got to do a little bit more work to the trailer. I just cut the side guide rails off just so it'd be easier. So I got to weld those back on, do a couple other things, and then we'll get it out on the lake, get the drone up in the air.